Hi guys, in today's Rendezvous with Mimi, I am so delighted to welcome Tamara Greene. Hi Tamara.
Hi Mimi.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
So delighted to welcome you today. You are such an empowering woman and I wanted you to be here with me to sit and have a little chat. Guys, Tamara is the Global Brand Director for Avast. Tamara, can you tell us a little bit about your story?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Mimi. First of all, thank you for having me today. I think you are a very inspiring woman yourself with a great story to tell.
Thank you.
For me in advertising, it's never where I thought I was going to end up, to be honest. I thought I was going to be a dentist, but it just goes to show you that sometimes the plan that you chart for yourself isn't always the end plan or the end game. So I think you just have to adapt and make sure that you're open to possibilities in life as they come your way. You know, I had a very normal childhood until it wasn't. I had two parents in my house, two parents who had advanced degrees, so they were very successful. So that was a nice role model to look up to from both my mother and my father. But when it was time for me to think about school and my career, that's when it all kind of fell apart. You know, their marriage deteriorated, they were going through a bad divorce. And so I think that's a little bit of where my drive came from, because I had to kind of figure it out a little bit. So it made me fiercely independent, and it made me just kind of get a sense of hustle. You know, I felt like I kind of had to figure things out. As I said, I went to university thinking I wanted to be a dentist and came out realizing that communications is what I wanted to do. Yeah, and I thought, you know, I wanted to work in music, and so I took an internship at a record label, and I thought I wanted to work in fashion, and so, you know, I took an internship at a fashion label. But the day job that I had was as a receptionist at an advertising agency. But my perceptions about what advertising could be were wrong. I thought it was, you know, doing commercials for cereal or toilet paper. But I was lucky enough to have a senior executive who was running the Burger King account come up to me and say, give it a chance. Come follow me on this project that I'm working on for the Backstreet Boys. And if you work with me on that project and then you decide, you know what, I don't want to do advertising, then I'll leave you alone. But I promise you, you'll realize that advertising can be really exciting because it can incorporate culture and music and fashion and all those other things that you love, you can find in advertising. And he was right. I kind of fell in love with advertising. It took me probably about 15 years to get to a good level of seniority. And it's probably because my path wasn't linear. It's because I, you know, kind of dodged and weaved a bit.
15 years is nothing to get to the position you are in. Can you please tell us what motivated you from this receptionist job during the last 15 years to get where you are today?
Well, I think what motivated me earlier in my career is different than what motivates me today. So I'll just start with what motivated me then. And I think it was just seeing my mom. I mean, she had a really successful career, and then she lost it, and the demise of her marriage, and then she suffered, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally, and my heart broke watching my mother go through what she did. But it also forced me to kind of say to myself, I'm going to do everything I can to not let that be me too. And, you know, I think, you know, New York, there's a lot to be said about New York. It's a real hustle city. One of the things about New York is that you work hard and you play hard. And so working hard is actually glorified. And in America, particularly in New York, that's a badge of honor, how hard you work. It just shows how dedicated you are. So I really just had that drive earlier on in my career to just make sure that I could be successful and independent. I think now, fast forward, and now I'm 25 years into my career, so don't do the math. It's my daughter that definitely motivates me, you know, just seeing the world through her eyes, the curiosity and the wonder. It makes you optimistic, even when there's so much unfortunate things happening around us every day.
What are the value you want to put into her to make sure that she gets to the same success you have or better?
I think the biggest thing is probably confidence.
Confidence.
And helping her believe that she can do anything she wants to do. And I think it's really important that she has the foundational confidence, Yes, that she can be, you know, fostered to believe that she can do anything, I think is the most important trait that I can give her.
Do you think you've always been confident yourself?
No, I mean, growing up in America, at the time when I did, and being dark-skinned black, not light-skinned black, it was not cool at all. So I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't feel confident. My experience through school was of being kind of the only black child. So that was difficult. Particularly as a young child. And I think, you know, it's something that I had to learn through experience, exactly, learn and build.
How will you define success?
For me, I think success are three things. Feeling like you have a strong family foundation, and family can take many different shapes. Family can be your friends, it could be your partner, it can be your husband, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your children, but just having some sort of a strong foundation of family and friends, I think to me is very important. And then I think also just having, you know, faith is important. And I think the third recipe is funds. And it doesn't mean that you have to be rich. I think some of the people who have the most money in the world are some of the most unhappy people in the world. But I think just having the funds to do the things that you need, so that
you happy.
Exactly, so that you're not suffering. It doesn't have to be excessive, but to me that's successful.
On your way to success, what is the one thing that you always told yourself to empower yourself?
Failure wasn't an option. It's just my competitive spirit. I refuse to be kicked down. I refuse to lose. I will not accept that. Even when I had the most defeatist of day the day before, I will go to sleep and I will wake up and I will wash it away. It is a new day and I'm going to win. I think, you know, I've seen, you know, lots of negativity. I've seen my mother suffering, and I just will not allow anything or anyone to hold me down. I think you can also be your biggest advocate, your biggest ally, but you can also be the biggest hindrance for yourself. You can get in your own head, and I just refuse to let myself get caught up in my own head or get caught up in my own spin of negativity. So I just believe that I am going to win. I'm just not going to let anyone or anything stand in my way.
What advice can you give to me and to also people watching us today to actually keep this power going?
You have to silence that crazy inner critic. You've got to silence that crazy little voice in your head that tells you you can't, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not this enough. You've got to silence that inner critic. Yes, you've got to believe that about yourself, because you are. You've got to be your biggest cheerleader, because no one else will be. You might be lucky to have those support systems in your life, but in the absence of that, you have got to be the one who believes in yourself.
So now we have someone watching us out there, you know, what are the advice you will give that person who wants to be successful and who want to make their dream happen? What would you say to a young black woman watching us now?
I would say be courageous. I know that probably sounds easier than it really is, but think about what you really want to do and chart that course. And if it changes, that's all right. Have the courage to accept that it might not be working out the way that you want it to, and the courage to figure out what you need to do to change that plan to get to where you need to be. I think that is probably one of the biggest things you have to have. With courage comes a bit of faith, but just knowing that you have the control to do some of the things that you need to see happen in your life. So courage. Resilience, and they kind of go hand in hand. You will not always have success. There will be things that are put in your path that you need to bat away or that you need to go through. And I think equally, the things that don't go well are sometimes the biggest learning experiences, and being resilient to those and not giving up, I think, is probably another big trait. And then I think the third one is having faith. And that doesn't mean spiritual faith, although that's great if you have it, but just having faith in yourself, a belief that you will become what you want to be. And having the faith in yourself, I think, is probably the third thing that I'd say.
Oh, wow, that's beautiful. So, guys, courage, resilience, and belief in yourself. Thank you so much, Tamara,
very welcome, Mimi,
for coming today for Rendezvous with Mimi.
Thank you.
And thank you for empowering someone today.
Thank you. It's
Bye-bye.
been a pleasure.